Fastned, which is an Amsterdam-based company in Holland, has successfully raised over 27.5 million euros to enhance its rapid charging infrastructure across Europe, combining 24 million euros in bonds with another 3.5 million from previous bonds, basically. So since its inception in 2012, Fastned has developed a network of more than 280 fast charging stations in countries like the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, France, Spain, and the services enable drivers to charge really, really quickly. Basically, it's a nice swanky place to pull up and charge, grab a drink, and it's just a nice feeling place. So if you're going to charge your car, Fastned are reasonably priced, and they just are very nice. It's a nice place to be, so that's kind of why I like them. Basically, their chargers are able to put about 300 kilometers of range in your car roughly in about 15 minutes. So they've got nice powerful chargers there, standard, using all sustainably sourced power and providing flexible payment options like contactless, or you can subscribe to a thing. I'll put that on the screen as well if you haven't, if you've never looked at Fastned. So if you haven't heard of them, they're a fantastic company, fantastic place to stop if you're in Europe. Locations all over. They've just done what the British company called Ecotricity did, which they called eco bonds in Ecotricity. Although once I found out that the founder of Ecotricity borrowed, I think it was over £3 million from the company, because he said on an interview it was easier to take the money from the company than it was to go and ask the bank to borrow that money, so that he could literally buy an actual fort at the top of a large hill in the town where he started the company. So that's basically where I stopped caring so much about that company, especially since it always talks about its motto, as you'll notice if you go on the website, turning bills into mills. He didn't say anything about forts, did he? So basically, you give them money, Fastned, in exchange for a good level of interest in return for your accepting some of the risk, because the company may go bust. So that's kind of what bonds are. Lots of companies do this. They come in waves and rounds, and every now and then they'll do this. You can put some money in, hopefully get more back in a year or two's time. That's how it works. So there may be other perks depending on the company, of course, like you might get free charging, unlimited free charging if you put buy £50,000 worth of bonds or something. So they just secured a huge amount of money to install more chargers. That is a lot of money in Europe, which is great news for a few reasons. So they are a really nice company, been expanding rapidly, really nice people, really reliable chargers, and they're now in 16 prime locations in Europe. So they also bought out another company to take over their charge network, which is also really awesome. I also haven't got any bonds with Fastned, by the way, just so you know, and I never have. So I'm Ben Alexander. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for joining. I always talk about the latest EV news from around the world on this channel almost every day. There was a bit of a transitional period a couple of weeks ago where I stopped making videos for 2 weeks or something. Now I'm back, so I make them every day. Thank you for watching. Please also feel free to put your thoughts and comments in there in the section below. You can put anything you like. I always read the comments on a daily basis. I also know that more people read the comments than before I've even gotten to them. There's other people commenting on those comments, so it's a good place to have a bit of a chat, I think. Also, please, if you wouldn't mind, consider subscribing and pressing the little arrow or the little down triangle and changing the notifications so that you get notified when I make a video so you don't miss them. That would be great, because that helps my channel spread a bit on YouTube, which is lovely. So it's a shame that the charging network isn't state-owned, I think, honestly. I mean, of course, there are multiple states here, but, it means that prices are generally quite competitive rather than just being affordable. So when the state owned the British railway system, for example, a bit cheaper. When the railways became privatised, very expensive. People don't seem to mind the prices at Fastned. And I don't think it's too bad, honestly. The most common price on a pay-as-you-go basis in most countries in Europe is 69 cents per kilowatt hour. And that's if you just rock up. You've never used one before. You just touch your bank card on the machine. That's how that works. I think that's pretty fair, honestly. As you can see, they're literally everywhere. I've put the map on the screen for you now. And we really need to get the networks expanded so that hopefully these prices will drop in 5 or 10 years or so. So I would expect there to be probably an international road user charge throughout Europe at that point for EVs. So the reason why this stuff is so important basically is because we're preparing for the future. We need to prepare the ground for tomorrow's vehicles. And in 2025, 20% of the world's vehicle sales are expected to be full electric vehicles. 2030, it's expected that 40% of new vehicles sold around the world will be full electric. So this might happen if we allow Chinese EVs to be sold here. We might hit those figures, honestly. But at the rate that the EU car makers are going, it's never going to happen, honestly. There's a huge amount of talking going on, but very little actually being done. And I don't think the governments around the EU are really, taking the job and doing something with it. When you reconcile with China, about 26% of new car sales in China are full EVs now, and so that's expected to be 40% by the end of this year. It's quite remarkable to see, such a pace, in the growth in this industry. I don't know of any other industry or business that has this going on. I really, really don't. I saw that. I mean, maybe you could say computers and the internet in the late 90s and the early 2000s. Maybe then. I don't really know. I saw this graph on Al Jazeera. I'll put it on the screen now for you, and it shows some interesting figures. Apparently, last year, China produced 60% of the world's EVs, and I think the governments all around the world have figured out that they can massively benefit if we all use EVs in lots of ways, although they will literally never admit some of these ways and benefits for themselves. It's all about being green, basically, and the environment. Nothing to do with taxes at all. Never. In my opinion, George Orwell was profoundly prophetic, and he was a very clever chap, for his time. And I like that he saw things in a very clear way. And he decided to call a spoon a spoon, and I think that's a very important thing to be able to do. I think business people are quite savvy like this, actually, and they can see through BS a bit more often than not. So anyway, enough of the rant. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found the video a bit interesting. Feel free to subscribe if you like, or write a message below and I'll get back to you. I read all the comments every day. So yeah, thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of the evening.